But unfortunately, in my life, these last, I don't know, what is it, 20 months we've been in COVID now? The lack of discipline has caught up. The world is more competitive and harder now than it's ever been before. And just because you're good doesn't mean you win. And I think that's been the hardest realization for me.
This is The Growth Moment with your coach, Amy Kay. Inspiration, ideas, and incredible insights for you to be more and do more. Get ready to grow today. This is Clay. We've been working together a while, and boy, Clay is someone who loves to win. Driven, highly competitive, huge expectations for success. He's 32 years old, arguably very successful, but is yearning for that next level and moving past what is holding him back. The fundamental theme for this coaching is discipline, and Clay's love-hate relationship with it. Lack of discipline is what Clay identifies as holding him back. What's cool about this episode is it shows how coaching is not a cheerleading exercise. I'm not pumping up Clay about how awesome discipline is and how he should just be more disciplined and problems solved. My job is to help uncover, raise awareness, shine a light, see if there is a new perspective on a blockage that my client discovers to unlock the next level. It's about Clay leading the way, not me. So what's in it for you? I want you to check out what's holding you back from next level growth. Not just more success, but whatever growth you are most desiring. Indeed, it might be a lack of discipline that's holding you back as well. It might be speaking up in the world. Perhaps it's something you need to learn, study, or practice. An old belief that needs to go. For me, my inability to slow down and be present more often is a huge roadblock. Take a moment to ponder what is holding you back. Listen to the coaching to see what clicks and triggers some ahas or ideas for your growth. We jump in right after I ask Clay where he would like to start the coaching.
I kept coming back to one central theme that I think has always held me back, frankly, and something that we seem to talk about often, whether we talk about it directly or talk about it indirectly. It's discipline. There's nothing more essential to success in whatever category, I think, professionally, personally, than discipline. The way that I get my energy is from the things that don't take discipline. And it's a constant battle between being pulled, both halves of you being pulled in different directions, right? It's so much easier to say yes than it is to say no, at least for me. It's so much easier to procrastinate than it is to get things done. And it's especially easiest when maybe you're good enough that you don't need the discipline, right? You can skip the parts you don't like and focus on the things you do like, and the result's good enough that you kind of go, it's fine. I don't need to do the discipline parts.
I'm pretty great.
Right. You know, it's like that was a good thing. That was a good product we put on the field, and we're just going to ride with that. But unfortunately, I think in my life, these last, I don't know, what is it, 20 months we've been in COVID now, the lack of discipline has caught up.
Mm-hmm.
The world is more competitive and harder now than it's ever been before. And just because you're good doesn't mean you win. And I think that's been the hardest realization for me. You know, you can't skip the small stuff. You can't have a big day tomorrow and go to bed at 2 o'clock in the morning. Your brain isn't as sharp. You aren't as well rested. The little things at work, the minutia that feels painful, making sure you measure twice, right, and cut once, painful.
Because you would like, if I know you well enough, you would like to just be able to let it rip, just go from the gut, like, and just have it all big wins, and that you could just be that kind of explosive wild Clay and not have to do all this little stuff.
Yeah, when I was a kid, right, at least for me, everyone had like their favorite athletes or like their favorite movies. And I always loved Brett Favre. There was something about him, right? He was seen as this like gunslinger, kind of didn't have a real care, went out there, took the chances. And I always resonated with that. You never knew what you were going to get necessarily, but it was going to be from the hip, and it was whatever came out of my mouth was going to come out of my mouth. But it's the preparation that really sets you up to succeed. And over the last year that we've worked together, I mean, our first session, we talked about like what time we should go to bed.
I know, it was
right? Like the simplest thing. And that's so hard.
Tell me about your relationship with discipline. As it sounds like a love-hate relationship. I know I got to hang out with discipline, but I really don't like him.
Yeah, I know I gotta hang out with discipline, but what I really want to hang out with is
Undisciplined.
undisciplined.
Like, that's what attracts you. That literally is what is so attractive to you, is the gunslinger. Let it rip, shoot from the hip. There's an aliveness there.
Absolutely. There's a feeling of freedom when you haven't fully prepared.
And follow that. A feeling of freedom. Is that where some of your brilliance comes from? Your innovation?
No, that's where all my worst shit comes from.
Okay.
like, like the thing that you enjoy the most, right? Like, like for me, I have a massive sugar tooth, sweet tooth.
Mm-hmm.
Nothing good comes from eating. I mean, it's the week after Halloween. The amount of candy I've had this past week. Oh my God, yeah.
And I love this, 32-year-old man?
And I have the eating habits of a 14-year-old.
Or a 5-year-old, I'd say.
Or a 5-year-old. I was giving myself maybe too much credit.
So Clay, check this out. I'm super struck by your deep attraction to undisciplined, the almost the hero worship you have about it.
Yeah.
And so then tell me about, if undisciplined is the gunslinger cool guy in the movie, what's discipline to you?
Discipline is Jeff Goldblum in Independence Day.
So it's definitely not Will Smith.
Right. It's definitely not Will Smith. Right? Will Smith's out there. He's like, we're going to go for it. We're going to save the world. We're going to get in the alien spaceship. And Jeff Goldblum's like, whoa, whoa, whoa. I've been studying this forever.
Ew.
Maybe we take a step back.
And why is that so unpalatable to you?
I think a lot of it is probably social pressures, right? Like Jeff Goldblum is not the cool character in that movie.
And you want to be cool. You want to be cool, Clay.
Everybody wants to be cool, right? You want to be liked. You want to be loved. You want to be accepted.
So what's the relationship between undisciplined and Clay being liked, loved, accepted?
Being disciplined, sometimes you got to tell people no. And I know you've had that on your podcast before, how difficult it is to tell people no. How difficult, but even harder, is telling yourself no.
So this is pretty fascinating. What you've got attached to disciplined is boring, held back, unlikable.
Yeah.
Unlovable.
Absolutely. Right? Like,
and uncool.
Right. It's like the saying, right? Like chicks dig the long ball, right? Obviously having played golf all my life, it was, oh man, wow, you just hit 300 yards, 320 yards. Oh man, wow, that's great.
How's your putting?
But like, there it is. How's the putting? And I think if my mom, if we had a special third guest on here, my mom, she would be like, I used to ask Clay about that all the time. Yeah, but did you practice your putting? And of course, I never practiced my putting because who wants to just stand in one place and watch a ball just roll 4 feet? Boring. But that's the key to the game. That's the whole key to success.
But what is there to me is the combination is the key to success, and certainly to your success. It isn't ditching the long ball. It isn't getting rid of the larger than life Clay that I know. It's this merging. It is a both and.
It's absolutely emerging. There's no there's no doubt about it. But the merging, and for me, someone who has lacked discipline for so long, adding it into my life has been like, it was almost depressing. It was depressing. It wasn't almost depressing.
Well, it felt like a punishment.
Yeah, it was depressing. I felt like I was being punished.
Hmm. So, dude, you have to like transform your whole concept of discipline. You'll never get to that next level of a blending of these two pieces if you continue to go, discipline is uncool, it sucks, it's a punishment, it's depressing, and I will only do it begrudgingly and very little. I love Clay. It's that freewheeling thing, his willingness to dive in, muck around, and challenge himself. So fun to coach. Notice how we explored the relationship with discipline, this concept that Clay feels is part of his future success, but historically has been a very negative thing for him. So much so that being disciplined in his work, even in his golf game, feels like being punished. This is a big old block, a limit, a ceiling. Clay can't grow into being more with this old perspective. So we explore. Treating it as a relationship helps you step outside of a block. Look at it from a different angle. It can be helpful with any block. For example, with earning more money, saving money, any money thing. I often have a client talk about what kind of relationship do you have with money? What kind of relationship do you want to have? It's amazing what the relationship lens can open up. Same for any block: money, discipline, vulnerability, taking a risk, speaking in public, anything. Think about your block. What does your relationship to that block look like, feel like? How do you want it to be instead? This approach might break something loose for you, trigger a shift, or not. The point is to play with it. Just like Clay, use your own metaphors, examples. This is about you. With Clay, the trick for me is to not leave the undisciplined freedom side behind. There is enormous energy there. Clay comes alive when he talks about that part of himself. We want to keep that, leverage it. But I think it's the merging, the both and, the combo we're considering. Blending undisciplined and disciplined. Seeing if there is a new relationship that will unlock that next growth level. Maybe it's more like authentic or empowered discipline instead of something boring and uncool. Let's go back in as Clay starts to look at what is possible with a new paradigm.
For me, in my life, I'd say if you were to look at the last 6 weeks of my life, has been all of the emotions tied to discipline and lack of discipline. And I've experienced the whole range, and it was all tied to drinking alcohol.
So this is actually fascinating. The to drink or not to drink, that is the question, is all tied to be cool or not cool, to be fun to not be fun.
And the amazing thing, it turns out you can still be pretty fun without drinking.
So this is where I want to hear is if you kind of look beyond the veil, look beyond the current paradigm that has been what you've been for 32 years. What is emerging? What is possible in a new paradigm of a both and here, discipline and undiscipline?
In my life before, when I was doing as I please, saying yes to myself, saying yes to leaving work early, saying yes to having a night out, all these different things, staying up late, I was waiting for the world to come to me, right? How many times I said, oh, if this thing can go my way.
Yep. I can get a break, cut a break, I just need one win here.
Exactly. And I got to imagine there are a lot of people out there that maybe look at others and go, man, oh, God, they got lucky. Oh, when is that going to happen to me? And what I've found is by adding the discipline in my life, I feel like I'm in control of when the luck is going to come to me. So I'm not relying as much on something clicking or something happening. I feel like I have control to make something happen.
Wow, now that's a different way to look at discipline.
Right. And that, I'm to steal a line from one of my buddies, you can weaponize your discipline. Right? You use it to your advantage and you make it your X factor. I'm not going to get thrown off course by the way the world reacts to me. I'm in control of me. I'm in control of what's going to come my way. I'm in control of how I'm going to handle what comes my way. And the more I've had to deal with people being like, what do you mean you're not drinking? What do you mean you're going to do this and not have a beer? God, you're so lame. To then go, the reaction I get in just a short period of time to, man, good for you. Man, I wish I could do that. I was at a dinner just last night, people telling me that I look better, that I seem happier. I feel like a weight is off my back. I feel like I can achieve my goals. And when you feel like you can achieve your goals, it's this freeing feeling, being someone who sells services, essentially. I'm not afraid to step up and go for it. I mean, I think that so often I would fall into my role that I was expected to have on a team. Clay's the junior guy, so therefore I got to act like the junior guy. But now, being the junior guy is so lame to me.
So actually, the junior guy that seemed so cool before isn't as cool as you thought.
Forget not as cool as I thought, is not cool. Period.
So what is cool?
What's cool is going for it, is setting a goal, setting a dream, and trying to achieve it. It's enjoying the process. I think for too long you see the guys, with the World Series trophy or putting on the green jacket, and you dream about the result instead of dreaming about the process. And I find myself recently kind of getting lost in the process. And it sounds so lame and so cliche, but it's such a freeing thing. I feel confident. I feel like I can't get rattled. I feel a sense of calm.
Clay, I've mentioned to you before how my son's one of his favorite inspirational figures is Jocko Willink. And he's got that discipline equals freedom. And so we started this conversation where you're going, yeah, discipline, it's undisciplined, that's freedom, and listen to yourself. You just gave a beautiful, impassioned speech about how discipline creates the freedom. You just witnessed the shift. Clay came up with the transformation, the new way, not me. This is the moment where he starts to see the value in discipline. No one can tell him, force him. I still make that mistake with clients too often, thinking I have the answer or a new paradigm to push them into. It's Clay reflecting on his actions, the coaching commitments he has chosen in the past weeks that illuminates the growth. As he puts it, I'm in control. I'm weaponizing discipline and using it to my advantage. I create my luck. And most beautiful of all, it's about setting a goal and enjoying the process, starting to dream about the process instead of the result. I think that's just incredible. We all have that next level of growth, places we want and need to expand into. Working through the blocks to that growth can be nuanced, subtle, and elusive. The coaching approach is custom, individualized, never cookie cutter. It's about exploring, reflecting, taking action, and reflecting again. Your soul in motion. I'm just here to back you up as you find your way. What's going on in your mind right now? What are your reflections on your blocks? What might be a very next step or action to challenge your paradigm and allow something new to emerge? Now for our final piece with Clay after I said, so discipline creates the freedom.
It's not just that. I think you also respect yourself more. And when you respect yourself more, you expect more out of yourself. But you're okay with that. You're okay expecting more out of yourself because you're positioning yourself to achieve more.
And so now I'm picturing, standing there on the putting green, practicing over and over, getting lost in the process. How does this whole thing change even that example? What would you say now about the discipline of putting?
Well, look, I don't want to be dramatic here and make it sound like in the last 6 weeks my whole life has changed. Because,
Except for it has.
well, yeah, but like when I go and practice my golf, I still spend less time working on the money shots than I do on hitting it deep. But at least I'm spending some time practicing.
But see the shift. So, God, that piece of respect myself more, expect then more from myself. So, what does this make possible if discipline isn't depressing? I mean, I'm totally getting discipline becomes Clay's superpower.
I think you get excited by different things.
Tell me more on that.
I mean, this is going to sound ridiculous, but like I now wake up in the morning and I'm like, all right, here we go. Like coffee's ready to go. Let's go in there. We're going to have our cups of coffee. We're going to have our cereal. We're going to get hyped for the day and we're going to go tackle this day. And I may have felt that way before, but it was fake.
Right. You are psyching yourself up. This is what successful people do. I'm a successful guy. I'm
right.
As opposed to actual man of substance.
I can't believe it took you this long to drop that line.
I didn't think of it until now because maybe you didn't deserve it until this moment. We have been working on being a man of substance. This Clay has the depth, the gravitas. You're starting to live it.
Yeah, I mean, I think too much. I think for a long time, I thought that I was different. I thought that I was an individual. I thought that I had my own
Well, the lone wolf thing.
Yeah, I was part of the herd, right? The herd is the easy place to be.
Hmm.
And going out on a limb and forcing yourself to be different, forcing yourself to be introspective, I needed a major life shift to do that, right? I needed to change something big to feel that and to feel that pressure from other people, to learn it, right? You need to learn how to deal with that kind of anxiety, frankly. Being different is high anxiety.
I don't know if this is right, but it where you love yourself, you don't need, to be loved externally to actually respect yourself, love yourself. Like this is coming from you.
Absolutely. So this was almost 2 years ago now. I was working on a team, and I was part of a team. And one of our managing directors at our firm took me out after work. He knew that I was kind of thinking about making a change and trying to go on my own and whatnot. And you know, he said to me, and I'll never forget it. We're sitting at this pizza joint near our office having a beer, and I said to him, I go, and it's not about the money. I just want to feel like what I'm doing matters. He goes, I know it's not about the money. And I said to him, I go, what do you think it's about? And he stands up and he gives me a pat on the back. And he goes, you want to be told that you're doing a good job.
Mhm.
And he was 100% right. I didn't feel like I was getting the recognition or the praise that I felt like I deserved or that I felt like I wanted.
Mhm. Mhm.
But the challenges that I've had to deal with over the last year, and especially in the last month and a half, I'm starting to learn how to feel that praise on the inside and how what I think of myself is enough. And you take that and I apply it, it's directly associated with the discipline that's been added to my life. Like the feeling that I get of self-fulfillment, right? That ability to give myself praise rather than needing it from the outside. I have learned it's a trait that I think I have literally learned since since I've had to go to all these different environments and say, I'm good, I'm not drinking.
Sometimes day after day, often you have in these past few weeks something almost every night
Right.
where you have to say no.
Right. Where I leave, where I'm the first one to leave.
Yeah. Clay, it doesn't get any bigger than that. The shift of, so not only discipline equals freedom, but discipline actually is a self loving act.
Totally. And you can't succeed without feeling that self love.
Moving deeper into what is possible now. Clay said, I can get excited about more things, respect myself more, and then able to expect more of myself. The praise comes from the inside now. Wow. I sum up his big shift into the next level with the discipline equals freedom, and discipline is a self loving act. There's the game changer, the life changer. At the end of our session, Clay's self chosen homework was to be my hardest critic, most forgiving spectator, and my own biggest cheerleader. How fabulous. Of course, I wish I could beam myself right now to your location, ask you questions, listen to your reflections, help shepherd your paradigm shift. I'll have to settle for you to lean back now and take a few deep breaths. What is emerging for you from listening to this episode? How have you better identified your blocks and perhaps the kind of relationship shift with those blocks that you want. What creates your freedom? I challenge you to go play around with those concepts. Send me some thoughts, notes, and ideas. And I invite you to deepen your own self-love. Praise from the inside so you can enjoy your growth journey and process. It's yours. It matters, and you lead the way. I am always here as your coach. I encourage you to go to the website, thegrowthmoment.com, for show notes and other episodes. And I also invite you to subscribe, follow on your favorite podcast app. I send you great love and support. Now get out there and grow today.